Hi there, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Just going to make a quick video today on turning synchronous code into asynchronous code in Python. And I want to disclaimer this by saying I'm by no means an expert at this. I just started messing around with it. And so you may look at this and be like, that's not truly asynchronous. You're doing this wrong. That's unnecessary. I welcome all that feedback. I would like you to put it in the comments below, and hopefully we can all improve together. But this video is just a very basic thing to hopefully get somebody inspired now that we have Python 3.7 and 3.8 to see how easy it is and the performance gains that you can get. So without further ado, I've got a very basic setup here. I've got a difference checker that we're going to use at the end to see the differences between speed, time testing. User info has API keys and API secrets for 2 test users on the BitMEX testnet. And then in here I have a REST client that I'm just starting to build. So we'll start with the REST client and we can walk through that. It's very basic. I'm not going to get into it too much. Allows you to choose which exchange, the live exchange or the testnet, passes an API and secret. And this is just a little thing to allow me to get back the response headers, generate a signature. This here is where we're going to make our request. We're going to use the standard request library. I have get and post options for this. We're just going to make get request. Builds the API, handles response, and this is the endpoint that we're going to go after. So over here in time testing, in main, we just start up a timer. We read the user info from that JSON file, initiate a list. Then we come in here and we loop through our users. There's 2 users. We grab their API information. And then we start a range of 0 through 50, and we pass in our information to this loop here. It goes and makes the call to the REST client, takes back the information, grabs only the balance, appends the username and the balance to a list, and returns that. Then here we're going to print out the balances, end our timer, and print out how long it took. So we're going to go ahead and run it now, and I may pause it at certain times so you don't have to go through and watch the entirety of it. I mean, it's 100 calls synchronously, so it's not going to be exceptionally fast, but I'll do it the first time in real time, and after that I'll probably pause it. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and run time testing. So again, I am by no means an expert at this, and it's just kind of a little fun thing that I decided to take on, see if I could make some performance gains in the speed at which my code was executing. I hope that you too will explore, watch some YouTube videos like you are now. If you run into problems, there's Stack Overflow, Reddit, a million different forums. So just keep poking and prodding around. Please share with me what you learn, and stay tuned for further videos. I know it's been a while since I put one out, but I do have a lot of exciting things going on in Google Apps Script that I want to share with you. So one other thing to note while this finishes up, should be done shortly, is that this particular API does have rate limits. So I will probably pause it here shortly just to take a little time so I don't run into the rate limits. But we've got all of our information back. It took about 51 seconds to run, 51.8. So we're going to take that. We'll just go over here to our difference checker, and we'll enter that in for the first value of our standard looping. This is just taking sum, getting the average, dividing the 2, and seeing what goes faster. So we'll start up another run here. I'll pause it, and then we'll get back when it's finished. Okay, the second loop finished up. See, our first loop's up here, and this one finished in 52 seconds. So we will take that, put it over here, and start up the third and final synchronous loop. All right, and we're back. So our last loop has finished up here. We're going to take that, put it here, and then we will get into the meat and potatoes. So we'll first start with the REST client. I want to try to keep these as similar as possible for these 2 tests. So I'm going to take this entirety of it here, paste it there, and we're going to call this one asynchronous. All right. First thing we need to do is come in here and we need to say from AIO HTTP import client session. And then we also want to import async IO. All right, we'll come down here. Not a whole lot to do in our init. So one thing we are going to do is we're going to use client session. So we'll say def init session self. We're going to pass the headers to this. And we're just going to return client session headers equal headers. Okay. Nothing again to do here with our generate signature. So we'll move down. We would like this one to be async. So, and everything below it. So I'm just going to take this quickly and paste it into all of our further definitions. And then knowing that we are going to make it asynchronous, we're going to be awaiting something. And in all of these, aside from the one that handles the response, we can just go ahead and say return await. All right. Now we'll get back up here. And again, we were using the request standard library before. But now we're going to go ahead and say async with self.init session headers as session. And then we're going to say await. No, we'll take this first. We're going to take this up here. And again, I'm using get adder here because I have get and post. I mean, this is effectively the same thing as saying response equals request.get URI headers. But in case I do a post request, and I don't need to change it that way, so that's why that is the way it is, in case you were wondering. But we're going to say session this time. And we've already passed the headers in, so we'll just get rid of this. And we want to await that. And then one last thing we're going to do here is we're going to say await Asyncio sleep. We don't want to use a standard sleep, but we do want to put little sleeps in at times so that our processes can hand off the ball to the other processes that are running. Otherwise, we'll just continue to run synchronously. So the last thing we need to do is come down here, being that we're using client session. Oh, we're going to want to move this as well over here. But using that we're using client session instead of the request. We do need to make a couple changes here. It's no longer status code, it's just status. Here, that's a function that corresponds with the request. So we're just going to say something like return value error. I understand it's not a value error, but for the point of this, it will work. And then we'll say await response.text. All right, here, this is where if we do have response headers option, this is if we do not. And then the last thing we want to do is await this response text. So to me, that looks like we've pretty well done everything we need to do here. So we'll save that up and we'll go over to our time testing. And we're just going to copy this and put in async instead. And over here, we want to bring async IO as well. Do that. And then we'll copy these two here. And again, we're trying to keep it just about as similar as we can. So just got those two over again. We're going to make these async def. We'll call it loopy2. And then we'll say async def. And we'll call this one main2. All right, we know that we want to come in here and we want to await the async REST client. We're also going to put in one more of those async IO sleeps. Sorry. All right, And here we're going to actually just define a single iteration. So we'll go async. We're just going to nest it in here. We'll call it one iteration, just for clarity's sake. Do that. We'll shift this all over. What we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this for loop here, and we're going to do list comprehension to get coroutines to accomplish that same thing. Now we'll say corows equals one iteration. Oh, for in range 50. And then the last thing we need to do is we need to use asyncio gather to get those. So we're going to wait. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't say the last thing we're going to do, because I do need to await this and say we're going to go for loopy 2. But our wait asyncio gather. Then we'll just unpack our coroutines. So that all looks pretty good. And in Python 3.7, we don't have to create tasks. We don't have to worry about event loops. We can just simply say run main2. It's that easy. So we'll comment out main. Everything looks pretty good and ready to go. If you're wondering what this is just both of them return two-dimensional list, and so I use this list comprehension here to flatten it out. Nothing special. But all right, we'll go ahead and we're going to run time testing again. All right, and that one returned in 1.3 seconds. So as we can see, a pretty significant gain right there. We'll come in here. We'll do this. I'm going to pause the video and just wait a moment. Okay, we waited roughly a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and run this again. And this time is 1.2 seconds. See that it all went through there. I'll take that. Toss it over here as our next value. All right, and so the last thing that I'm going to do here on this last loop is I'm just going to come in and may make it just slightly slower, but I'm going to come in here to loopy 2, and I'm going to have it return our rate limit remaining. So we can see it's not some sleight of hand. It is in fact making all the calls that we're asking it to. We're going to say that equals headers of rate limit remaining. And then we'll say print, make a nav string, user limit remaining. Oh, backwards. And rate limit. Okay, so that's pretty much that. Come back over here to our terminal, run it one last time, and we can see all of our calls were made, 50 apiece per user, our output, and in the end it took us just a little over 1.5 seconds. Did have to do some extra printing out there, so we'll excuse it for that. And last thing we'll do is we'll come over here and we will see the difference. So in this situation, and I should have changed that, I'm sorry, but async looping was on average 37 times faster than standard looping. And again, I'm no expert at this. I'm sure you can do better. I just hope this motivates you to get out there and try some new things. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, other videos you'd like to see, please let me know in the comments below. And thank you for spending your time with me. I hope it helped.